The next thing we want to take a quick look at is running processes. So this is going to be any malicious payload files that the attacker might be running. Remember to connect back to their command and control server. That's just one example. They might have created a custom process that restarts cron or restarts our system D timers. So it's really good to just take a look at what processes are running on our machine and make sure that we understand what each of them are and make sure that there aren't any weird non-standard ones on there. So to list the processes that are running, you can use ps. A lot of people like to use psaux. I think that's really ugly. I don't know why so many people use psaux. Instead, I like to say ps-eo. That lets me tell it exactly what I want to see. So I probably want to see the user running the process. I probably want to see the process ID. And I probably want to see the command line, so cmd. The other thing I'm going to add is --forest. So that's actually going to show parent and child relationships. So when one process spawns or creates another process, that new process is called the child, and you'll be able to see that because it'll be tabbed, kind of like a branch on a tree. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe that output into more, and that's going to let me look at the processes one at a time. So these ones at the beginning are not too interesting to me, the ones that are in brackets, I guess, or braces, brackets. But if I skip these for now and go down, this is where they start getting interesting. So we have system D here, DH client, that's normal. I'm just kind of going through all of these, seeing if any one of them stands out. We do have this user sbin cron, but it looks like it's running vstpd. That's not anything malicious. That's just another service that we don't need. But we have dovecot there, so that's going to be our mail service. We have named, so that's going to be our DNS service. A lot of services that we don't need, but I'm not seeing any weird custom ones that are potentially malicious. Like if you remember from a previous video, if you saw something like bin payload, you're definitely going to want to take a look at that. But just as an example, let's take a look at postfix here as an example. So let's say I didn't want postfix running. I could learn more about that process by going to /proc/ and then the process ID. So in this case, 1165. And here I have a bunch of different files that give me different information about the process and how it works. So I can see the amount of CPU it's consuming or the amount of memory it's consuming. I can also see the full command line by printing out cmd line. The weird thing is it prints it without spaces. So actually I think in this case the spaces are null bytes, which is a little annoying. There is a way with trim actually to replace the null bytes with spaces so you can see the full command, but whatever. The other thing we can see is we can see the full path to the executable that's actually being run. So if I do ls-l and then I list out exe, exe is actually going to be a link to the full path of that executable, which is at user lib postfix sbin master. So now I know the actual where that binary is located, and if I didn't want it running, I could remove execute permissions, right? Or I could delete it entirely, depending on how you wanted to play that. Anyway, if I'm pretty sure I don't want this process running, if I'm pretty sure it's malicious, I can go ahead and kill it. So I'm going to kill 1165. And I always like to double check that that did actually kill it, because in some cases you think it worked, but it didn't actually kill it. So if I do ps, and I'm going to do, again, eo user process ID, cmd, --forest like I did before. This time I'm going to search for 1165. And I see that it's no longer there, but if it was still there, then I could do kill -9 and that force kills it. I wouldn't start by force killing it because you want processes to terminate normally if they can. But if it's something malicious and you're trying to kill it normally and it's not going away, then kill -9 is going to force kill it. And then the other thing I can check is I can check for postfix and see if I see that anywhere else. I don't see that anywhere else, so we should be good to go. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just make sure that that process doesn't get started again. And one easy way to do that is change the permissions on that file so it's no longer executable. So I'll say chmod -x user lib postfix sbin master. And I could repeat this process with any of the services that I don't want running or any of the processes that I don't want running. The ones that I would do this for right now, you could do that later on, but for now, the processes that I would kill are ones that are super custom, that might be the result of an attacker, not necessarily services like this one in this case. Another thing that the attackers could do is they could actually backdoor a legitimate binary. So they could like backdoor Apache itself. That is going to be really next to impossible to find. They could go so far as to write some sort of maybe custom kernel driver that like hides a specific process so you can't see it. I doubt Red Team's going to go that far, and if they do go that far, I don't know how they would expect you to find something like that. So I'm not really going to cover, looking into that. But as long as you go through your processes that are running, you should be good to go. A lot of processes have a very, very short lifespan, especially things that are being run on a schedule, like with cron or systemd, right? And attackers like to use those things that run on a schedule pretty often. So another thing that I like to do is I like to go and use this tool called pspy. You can get it on GitHub if you just search up pspy GitHub. And this tool allows you to do a bunch of different things, but among them is monitor short-lived processes. So even if the process only runs for like a very limited amount of time, it's very unlikely that you're using PS, you're going to be able to see it. You would have to run PS exactly at the time that that process is running. But this can, for example, monitor processes over time and even those really short-lived processes. So it's great for like monitoring what's being run by cron. So this is another way to go. You can kind of monitor what's being run on a schedule by spinning up pspy and just leaving that running for a while. But that kind of covers looking through processes.